Okay, we're live. Good morning, folks. My name is Dustin Jones. I am one of two faculty under the Older Adult Division with the Institute of Clinical Excellence. The other is Christina Previtt. We just sold out our first cohort for modern management of the older adults. We're super excited about that. Cannot wait to get that going next week. The second cohort starts March 26th. So if you're wanting to get in on that, you still can. Just go to ptonice.com. But today, I wanted to talk about the squat. So we're going to build the squat through in the hashtag Old Not Weak and through in the hashtag Build the Bike. So I really want to preface this whole conversation with the whole concept of building the bike that Jeff Moore talks about a good bit. And that's basically showing the goods, showing that tangible impact that we can make in people's lives. And that can be very challenging in the world of physical therapy, especially when you're working with older adults. How can we make change quickly and to show them that we are going to benefit them dramatically if they continue to work with us? And for me, in my home health arena, the squat, building the squat is one of the best ways that I can do that. For so many older adults, they have been performing the squat or basically a sit to stand as an upper extremity movement for decades. So you all may see this if you're an outpatient, but definitely if you're in SNF setting, acute care, home health, many of the different settings, when you work with a lot of older adults, the squat is basically an upper extremity movement. They're supporting themselves going up to try and get that force to come up, and they're controlling their descent with their upper extremities. They've been dependent on their arms for so long, and we can relatively quickly progress them to the point, a lot of times, where they're going to be able to get up out of a chair, get off of the toilet, get out of bed without having to use their arms to push. And that is an amazing thing that we can show them. We can build that ability for them to show them that we're going to benefit them dramatically. We can give them back a little bit of their independence. And that is huge, and I think we need to really value that. So when we're talking about building the squat, you're recognizing that a lot of older adults mainly use their upper extremities. A lot of times what you'll end up seeing is that it's more of a hip hinge pattern. They hinge, and then they get their arms where they need to go, and then they flop. There's not a lot of eccentric control. Usually, it's a lot of lower extremity weakness, which we can definitely help. But sometimes there's very small factors that we can manipulate to be able to give them a little bit of independence with that movement. So the first thing that I'll typically work on is work on that hinging pattern in the seated position. So the common deficit that I see is an inability or the lack of just motor planning to be able to shift their weight anteriorly, whether it's a mobility issue, whether it's a strength issue for some people, but a lot of times people are just afraid to go forward. It's a fear of falling for a lot of people. So we'll typically just do a hip hinge pattern, where we're just flexing, extending the hips, or we're trying to keep the back relatively neutral, where they're just kind of getting used to this pattern. And all we're doing, we're shifting our weight anteriorly, but we're getting our weight forward so their butt can come up out of the chair. So getting them really used to that, but then also utilizing momentum. So the quickness that they can move forward, their butt can come up out of the chair. So, we'll really focus going forward, and sometimes that'll help. If the rocking doesn't help, then maybe we need to shift their center of mass even further anteriorly. A lot of times you can do that just with arm position. So getting more mass anteriorly can help them stand up. And the fact that if you can just show them those few things and they come up to standing for the first time in sometimes decades, you have built the bike for them. You have locked that patient in, you've built that therapeutic alliance. They know that you are going to be able to help them in a really big manner. So beyond the hip hinge pattern, trying to utilize momentum, you can even, have them grunt. So a lot of, you all lift weights, you're in the CrossFit world, the strength and conditioning world, building intra-abdominal pressure, just doing a good grunt or a yell during a movement, a lot of times you can generate more force. There's no reason why, our older adults can't do that. Granted, that may be a little awkward if they're in the bathroom coming off the toilet, but you can just give them that cue, and sometimes that can give them just that little bit of force production to be able to come up to standing, which is really helpful. So those are the things from the technique side that I'll try and hit on first, just to show them that they have it within themselves. We didn't really have to manipulate very many external variables for them to be able to come up to standing, and that can be a very powerful thing. But if you do need to manipulate some external variables, the quickest way to do that is just with seat height. So the higher they are, the more readily available they're going to be able to come up and come down. So a lot of times we'll just start in standing and just come down nice and easy, and still use some of those same techniques, shifting the weight forward and just getting them used to that movement without that upper extremity support. That's really high, but as it gets easier and easier, you can progress all the way down to a chair. In the home health setting, that's typically done with cushions, with pillows, with AirX foam pads, whatever I can get my hands on, just to progressively scale it lower and lower and lower, and even measure that to be able to objectify the progress that they're making with that sit to stand motion. So the height is a very, very good thing that you can do and easy. You can also change the support. So whether they're, instead of pushing up with two hands, they push up with one hand. And maybe they push up with two going up, and then they focus on that eccentric control going down. You can manipulate that. You can also bring in something like TRX or suspension trainer. These are awesome for really getting people to trust their ability to lower down into that squat pattern, especially if they're having a lot of issues with flopping. This can be a great way to where they have a little bit of control, they have a little bit of support, they feel a little more comfortable, and they're going to be willing to go down a little further in that squat. Door frame works really great as well. A kitchen sink, something that they can have their hands on just a little bit to be able to provide that support. And so as you're manipulating their technique, you're manipulating the height of the surface that they're coming from. You're showing them, that with a little bit of support, they can go a little deeper. You're going to progress them to the point where they're going to be able to do a full squat without, doing some variation of a box squat. And that's where you can just do, you don't have to do resistance at first. You may have an adequate intensity to just do body weight squats. But once you get to the point where you can load, that is a very, very powerful moment for a lot of older adults that have been told for years, you don't lift anything, heavier than 25 to 30 pounds. They're scared to death of having some type of external resistance, even though they carry 30-pound grocery bags all the time. That can be a very empowering thing. So, a great tool is the kettlebell. So this is a wedding present. I've got some miles on this thing. This is an 18-pounder. No, this is a 26-pounder. This is probably a little heavy for a lot of my patients at least, but you can just do a simple goblet squat. So just having them hold the kettlebell by the horns. You may want to start this as a box squat variation, but then progress to an air squat to where they go down as far as they want to. They can go all the way down, ask the grass squat if they're able, but a lot of times just going to parallel is perfectly fine. Another great form of resistance, the trusted ankle weight or wrist weight. So a lot of times I'll put this on people's wrists and have them in that same kind of goblet position. It'll give them a little bit of resistance. And then lastly, a favorite of mine is the weighted vest. These things, you can load them up pretty well, but it keeps the weight kind of closer to their center of mass, which can be helpful. So that's it for this morning. Building the squat. So we're trying to give them independence. We're trying to improve our therapeutic alliance with them. We want to build the squat or build the bike. Show them that you can have an impact on their quality of life in a quick manner. You can manipulate their technique, working on that hinge, shifting their weight forward, using momentum. You can have them grunt, create that intra-abdominal pressure. You can manipulate their height. Start tall and work your way down and be able to measure the height of that surface to be able to show your patient that progress. Then you can also add in some support, something like a suspension trainer, TRX, door frame, kitchen sink, whatever. But that can be a great way to really build confidence for them, but also build confidence in that eccentric portion of the squat. And then once you blow through all that stuff and they're ready to load, with a full-blown air squat, or not doing a box squat anymore. You got the kettlebell, weighted vests, dumbbells, Dutch ovens. It doesn't matter. Use whatever you can just to build the resilience of your patient. So if you all have any other ideas or thoughts about the squat, especially just kind of progressing people from sit to stand up to a squat, leave a comment in the video below. Otherwise, if you're a podcast listener, check out the video. They'll probably be a little more helpful than listening to this. But thank you all for hanging out with me. Lots of courses coming up this new year, so the price jump just went up to $595, but tons of live courses that are going to be all throughout the United States. The online cohorts are starting to get in gear. There's still a few spots left with the CMFA course, so just if you are interested in any of those things, just go to ptoниce.com. You'll be able to find more info. Thank you.